Yep, I forgot how to like do stuff. Thanks for the hint, Slender. You should hear me now. Can anyone confirm? Hello, hello, hello. Alright, good. Wow. Yeah. Hey, ducklings. Thanks for being back. I wasn't able to stream a lot lately due to being a bit sick, but I finally feel better and I thought like I will give it a try. I'm not like 100% well, but I guess I'm over it. Got some sort of like man's flu. And yeah, that's a hoodie shotgun. You can see it here. But yeah. I appreciate you like it, shotgun. Sad Gussie isn't around. So, guys, what are we talking about today? I think, as I said, I wanted to do some, let's call it unique sort of content. And also I've planned to, you know, give people some insight on how we prepare for KVK, what we are doing, how we are doing research and stuff like this. Since I feel there isn't a lot of content about it, and I feel like that's maybe something I can contribute towards the community. Also lately a lot of people has checked out my sheet regarding the state forum, and yeah, I appreciate it that you guys are sharing it and like keep posting it within the community. Can you lift it a bit higher? Asking for Foxy. Like that. Think that's okay. So yeah, what we talk about today, like I will hit on the main points that I do before every KVK, how I actually prepare before KVK is live, what am I doing as soon as I like enter a KVK, what am I doing as soon as like the map is unveiled, and I've prepared some bullet points that I wanted to talk about, and at the end I wanted to like inform you guys on who we are allying with this KVK. And also, of course, like who we are up against. And I can tell you already, we will have like a very tough KVK. And I'm really looking forward to it. So I hope everyone is ready as well, especially the peeps from like our kingdom and our allies. And yeah, let's get started. Sounds good to me. Sounds like Mark might know anything we don't know. So let's check first. That's our like KVK. We are on the top right, allying in our camp with 1258 and 1877, and I don't want to unveil like more secrets yet. We will do that later on. And like we will talk about what I'm usually doing before I actually go into KVK. And like we start with the most important questions, like when are we signing into KVK? I think like a mistake many kingdoms are doing is that they just randomly sign into KVK. They are not considering about like, yeah, I'm a real SE. That's some sort of clickbait, right? But that's fine. So a mistake many kingdoms are doing is they are actually not preparing on like what they should do before KVK. They are not considering people coming in being low on resources. They are not considering being drained after a KVK, signing right into the next, and it's kind of a tough thing to figure out when the exact right time is to bully. No, I'm not a bully. That's fine. And like I want to give you guys some ideas what you should consider on like when you actually go to sign into KVK, as well as which KVK mode you should pick or not pick. And of course there is like just my personal opinion, so don't take this as like something final. I'm just sharing on what I usually do, what I can like recommend, what I think works out, and also you can of course like take these tips or leave it. I personally don't care, I just wanted to give you some insights. So first, the question we have to solve after every KVK is like, when will we sign again? And usually like we are a fan of signing faster into KVKs. The reason is pretty simple. The amount of stuff you gain within being in a KVK is way higher than the amount of stuff you gain outside KVK. Bigger resource tiles, bigger barbarians, other events, additional rewards, fighting, entertainment, like all these things matter and like are needed to keep a kingdom alive in my eyes. So our goal is always to find the fastest point to sign up, but also a point where we think we are in a shape where we are ready to compete. So things we always consider is if we have, for example, a migration in, like lately we got a migration in, we got a lot of migrants popping up, and if we sign right after anyone migrated in, of course he will be depleted on KVK and he can't perform to his fullest. So that, for example, is a reason for us to actually delay KVK, to give people, for example, 2 weeks time to actually gather. Like, you will be surprised if someone is on pressure and he's bringing all his farms, like how much he can gather. And that's, for example, the thing you should consider. As well as, like, are you stacked on alliance credits? Like, can you afford to play a KVK? Do you have multiple tags, especially for smaller kingdoms? That's often an issue. Like, you need to be able to cover a lot of land. Depending on which KVK mode, it's even more. Also, for example, for bigger kingdoms, a thing to consider is, like, who could you potentially ally or fight against? So if you are, for example, trying to set up any big KVK or any cool KVK, it actually makes sense to talk to other kingdoms and like figure out who's signing with you in order to ensure that you're not getting into a boomer matchmaking. Of course, Lit knows how to mess things up, but you have a small sort of impact, I would say. So the next thing we're gonna talk about is which KVK mode are we playing? And as you can see at the moment, there are a bunch of KVK modes. I will just give you my short opinion on it. I will tell you which mode I personally prefer for our kingdom, as well as when you potentially want to sign into another KVK. Someone is poking. Are you guys going for them? I heard you guys try to like set something up. Is that true? Chap, 1365 against 1254 the third. Would be funny to watch, not gonna lie. I would love to see that. But yeah, let's get started. Like, the most common KVK mode everyone is playing is usually Heroic Anthem. The reason is pretty simple. The map is a bit smaller, you have like 4 camps, you have some sort of like new strategic elements due to the Bastion skills. You have Fog, which everyone hates, but like that's a downside. But overall, it's like a pretty even map and pretty even matchmaking in here. And also, you're not getting, thrown into camps with, I don't know, 5 to 6 kingdoms. Especially not in the like lower brackets. Oh, that's sad. And I have to disagree, Phoenix. I have to disagree on that. So the next mode that is available to pick, and like not that frequently played as Heroic Anthem, but also a very standard thing, is Strife of the Eight. Ups and downs here are like kind of the opposite of what Heroic Anthem is. Like, you have no forks, that's a big plus. You have no Bastion skills, which is maybe cool, maybe not, I don't know. I like it personally. You have to do Bastions anyway to gain crystals. You get more kingdoms onto a map, which is cool in an Imperium type KVK, but for like smaller kingdoms, that's a lot of headache in my eyes. Like, I personally would avoid this type of KVK simply due to the fact to like, you have to talk to all these kingdoms. Like, you most likely have a 4 against 4 or anything like that, and like, it's headache to talk to so many people to get everyone to agree on something. So that's a mode leadership wise I personally not enjoy. Fighting wise, it's cool, the map is cool, the map is big. You need a lot of alliances to cover that. You have 8 camps instead of 4. And like, fighting wise, that's totally cool. Then we get to the modes that already got mentioned on the chat. No, it's not. Like, March of the Ages first. Like, let's sum it up shortly. It's crap, we don't have to talk about it. No one wanna play that. No idea what Lilith was doing when they implemented it. But that leads me to the next KVK, which is Desert Conquest. Basically the same thing that I already said about March of the Ages Athlete here. You're also marching for Ages. To me personally, it wasn't enjoyable, even though we had a lot of fights. A really cool thing from this KVK is the healing potions, which I would love to see everywhere. I can just like repeat that every time. Besides that, I don't like the mode. I don't like it at all. I don't like the feature where you can, you know, like this new honor system where you have to like run across the map and hit certain structures and keep them and occupy them. I like the honor equivalence that's like based on fighting. That's actually quite cool, but that's about it. Like the map layout doesn't suit me. You need a lot of alliances to cover it. Yeah, like you can't connect territory properly. You have tons of marching times, so I personally don't like it. And the last KVK, which I would have liked to play and cast, is the King of the Nile. But sadly, we weren't able to pick it. Maybe in future, maybe not. We will see. This one is like pretty similar to the old Light versus Darkness. It's I think only mode that has not a like symmetric map. So anyone probably is in a disadvantage, but we don't know much about it yet. It has no sort of like bastion skills, but something called seasonal strategies, which I wanted to cover as well on my channel. But yeah, as long as I can't play it, it's probably, I don't know if that's like cool content, especially if not many kingdoms can actually see that. But what I like is you get to pick allies in advance, so you don't get any boomer matchmakings within your camp. Of course, you can get any boomer matchmaking with the enemy camp. But yeah, with that being said, that's probably the ups and downs I can give you. And like based on that, you should see which of these things are like important to you and your kingdom. And based on that, you should make your decisions for which KVK you sign or for which KVK you don't sign. And also like when. After that, we come to the probably more interesting part for the leadership guys. Not sure who's involved, but like that's what's kind of maybe interesting for some of you to see what we are actually doing, like when KVK hits. But yeah, we will talk through a few things, but let me see what's going on chat. We might register next KVK with 1960, not sure. That would be dope. I would love to see that, and everything is better than Desert KVK. I couldn't agree more with that. And yeah, Phoenix, we disagree a lot, but that's also good. We also sometimes agree, right? And sometimes we agree to disagree, so it's not that bad overall. So let's talk through some points. Like one of the most important things in my eyes when KVK is about to hit, like when you see this timer is running down and you know, okay, later we're gonna see the map, then you want to be online. Like you want to be one of the guys who's, you know, in touch, who's available. Or maybe not you as a person, but any of your officers, depending on time zones, work, and whatever. But it's always giving potential allies a good feeling if someone is available. So what I would recommend you is like rotate your king, make sure someone is available to start the Diplo talks. Even though it's just, you know, some small talks, setting up the group, but it will like always give the allies a feeling that you guys vibe together. Also, of course, the most important thing right away is open a chat with your like campmates. You want them on the same page, like you want to start talking to them. So what we did is like when we entered and like we saw, okay, we got 1870 and 1258 as our allies. We opened the chat, got them in, and that's basically it. We started some small talk. We were like talking about what we want to do, how we want to do things, and you know, like getting known to each other. Yeah, the next thing you want to do is like figure out who is your potential enemies and who is your potential allies. And you know, like those of you who know me know that I'm some sort of like spreadsheet nerd when it's coming to these things. And I'm already prepared before KVK actually hits, like before this map is, you know, like popping up. I already have the public data in some sort of sheet, and I can just type in the kingdoms. And I already know like what's going on, you know. So let me open something. So for example, when we came to like, when Reset hit it and we saw our enemies and allies, I just had to like type down the numbers and camps. And we already had some sort of review on like public data that took me like 5 minutes. And yeah, I accumulated these stats and like we could figure out which camps are like strong, which camps lack of anything. I also have like more in-depth data which I analyze, like how, for example, is a kingdom evolving over time. So I'm not only tracking like 1 month, but for example, like for my personal picking of allies, I also consider like a longer time frame, because I want to know, is there like a migration out, which is potentially, for example, something that like means there are more people migrating out over the next weeks and stuff like that. So that helps you sometimes to dodge a bullet, and I can always only recommend everyone to keep an eye on like the kingdoms. And I also want to give you some tips on where you can access this data, where you get it from. I will also share all the links beside like my spreadsheet on the stream later, like on my Discord. So if anyone is like interested in figuring out where to check these things, you can do that. So as you can see, like on the data, let me see if I can get a bit closer. So it's a bit bigger for you guys. So as you can see here, like that's the public data available. Like that's what everyone can get, even though without paying any subscription, doing any additional work. Like you can access these informations within a few minutes if you're checking the right sites. For example, there is like a big data sheet from 1093 out there. There are sites like Rockboard, which are hosting a lot of information about all kingdoms. And I can only recommend people to like watch out for these sites, do their homework. If you're in off season, take your time to like extract some data time by time, so you also see how kingdoms are evolving over time. And like what you can also do, like that's a very basic approach. Like that's only, you know, if you wanna figure out something very quick and you want to have a rough idea on what's going on. But also I want to show you something that is, you know, like, wait, first I will show you the websites I know, so we can make a check mark on that. Like I can just recommend, like I'm not sponsored or anything, like I'm not doing any advertisement, I'm just like giving you the sites I use. In the past I used a lot of like Rise of Stats, which is also like a former member and friend who's running it. Also like a very good public site is Rockboard. Here you have to create an account, but it's giving you like overviews on the recent kingdoms entering certain KVK modes, giving you graphs and stuff, like all what you want to know. It's updating pretty frequently, and I can just recommend you to watch out for these sites when you're in leadership. Also another site that you can use if you want to run scans yourself is like StatsMaster, a pretty solid software that we are also using. And also there is like 1093 Seasons of Conquest Power and Kill Points ranking updated in December. Like this one updated today. The data is very fresh, but I wanted to show you guys why you potentially don't want to take everything right away from a public site, and why you also need to always be careful with the public data available. It's a pretty good site, don't get me wrong. It's great to like get an idea of which kingdoms you are facing and like fighting potentially. But for example, we can like take ourselves as an example. I will just search for us. As you can see, that's like 903 right now. And like 903 has a power of like 20.2 billion. That's pretty accurate. Like that always is very accurate. The Rockboard ranking is more accurate, I would say, chap, but I'm actually not entirely sure. I think the best is to do the stuff yourself. I will like sum that up soon as well, Mark. That's another example on what I wanted to give you. Like you see like 440 billion kill points, which isn't true right now. I will like close that down, and I will, you know, show us the kill points. And I will also explain you why there is this difference, so you can follow. Like as you can see, we have like roughly 340 billion kill points on our main alliance. We have another like 15 billion kill points laying around in like second axe in our other alliances. And like some people who are playing there, more or less active. And that's like what we are in 903 right now. And if you compare that, that's maybe 355 billion kill points compared to 440 billion. So a difference of roughly 90 billion kill points. And the thing why that's happening is pretty simple. Like what 93 is doing, simply due to the fact of time, they are scanning this list, the individual power ranking. Wait, let me close this one. They are scanning the individual power ranking, which updates time by time based on if people are playing actively and logging in or not. For the kills, they are going to check the individual kills ranking, which, surprise, is not updating. So whenever people are quitting, they never disappear from the kill ranking. So especially bigger Imperium kingdoms. For example, we were in Imperium in the past and had like lots of people, of course, also quitting on 903. They will always appear on the ranking. So if you scroll down, maybe not in the tops, but at any point within the top 300, you will notice here are accounts. For example, this guy isn't playing since a year or anything. You won't find him in the power ranking, but he's here on the kills ranking. So this impacts the kills ranking, but not the power ranking, and it's like kind of pushing us a bit higher than we actually are. And that's something you need to consider. So it's always good to know which kingdoms have some sort of history, were bigger, because you want to look like especially into them. Also, Spacewalker quitted long ago. And like there are a few more, like you see all these names. They are mostly not playing, and like that's the reason why our kills are a bit inflated compared to the power. So always double check it. Another like example, and that shouldn't be banter, we face them in KVK. Don't consider that it's trash talk, like is 1860. For example, if you're like going on the 1093 side again, you see they are listed at 19.9 billion, which is pretty accurate, but they are listed at 36.2 billion kill points. And wait, where is it? Let me... Oh, it's not updating for any reason. Let's go. No, it is 362 billion kill points. But if you're checking like the current kill points, you see they are only around 170 billion or 180 billion kill points, maybe a bit more. But that's a difference, that's like half of it. I think there was some sort of refunding going online, but they also had like a huge amount of fairly legit whales. And like many of them are like in the top 300 kills because they simply quitted in past. And they are still pushing up the kills. So if you're like having a kingdom that's also like a bigger kingdom in the past, make sure you're checking them twice. Like create an account if you have the time, level it up to Town Hall 8, and you have a rough idea. You can, like check what's their like alliance skills, what's their like alliance power, and stuff like that. So you get a feeling on who you're facing and like who's your enemy, who's your friend, who you want to ally with, and who you don't want to ally with. So you see already at this one, if you just go by the public data, you're kind of screwed. You would have wanted to go with them because you thought, like 360 billion, like they look solid, let's go. And then during KVK, like you enter the map and you see, oh wow, where is everyone going, That's what you want to prevent of happening. Like there is no harm allying with them. I think they will still give us a run. But like you want to know who you're facing. Like it's not always everything accurate on the public data. So, the stuff we usually do is like, we kinda check kingdoms one by one. We create accounts there, we scan them, and like, that's what you should do. Like, for example, that's like just one of my accounts. You see I have 72 characters on my account, and that's mostly from scanning other kingdoms during KVK. That's just like creating accounts, checking the power, checking the kills and stuff like this. And that's what I recommend everyone to do as well. Still have 15 to 20 accounts from when we are scouting for our KVK3. Yeah, that's how you do it, chap. That's what you have to do. I'm also doing that, for example, like in my sheets, like in the ones I personally create for myself for like my ally picking. Let me open it. I have the data of like multiple months compiled. Like you see, from July until December, I have all the informations of all the kingdoms who entered Strife of the Season of Conquest in here. So I can always check, like, is that a bigger kingdom in past? Is there potential inflation happening there? So it makes sense at any point. Maybe I will share some sort of these things also as well, but for now I don't intend to share at least this sheet. What I will share is like the sites I'm using for it on my Discord after the match, so you don't have to like write things down. Yeah, that's just nerd things, but kind of interesting for leadership, I would say. And I don't think there is like content like this on YouTube yet. So after this is done, like after you figured out who are you up against, you can start talking. Like I would always recommend everyone, regardless of if you plan to ally or like fight anyone, be polite. Like you always see multiple times. There is no reason to like start bitching on each other, regardless if you like fight together or fight against each other. And like Rock is kind of like a village. You always see everyone twice, so keep that in mind when you're talking to others. And you know, don't fool them at all. So after that is done, after you've potentially picked your allies, or like your road you want to go, I would recommend you to pick up like the talk to your camp allies. Make sure you're on the same page. Talk about who you would prefer to ally with, and then approach them. If they don't approach you, approach them. It's always better to be proactive than to miss out. TCG Fort 2292's top alliance in AOO this weekend. TCG smashed them. Very nice. Congrats, Mark. Well played. So, anyway, like what I wanted to say is like keep a communication line open with everyone. Talk to everyone politely until you made your final decisions. I always tell my enemies as well when we found allies. Like I'm not, you know, like trying to hide it behind anywhere and like keep talks open to find any better option. As soon as you like picked your allies, make sure like you communicate that. Make sure you communicate that also with your enemies, like, sorry guys, we are not looking anymore for anything, like we are allied with Camp X. I think that's just something that saves everyone's time. It, you know, like, is a thing you should do just out of respect for each other. And yeah, that's basically it. So at this point, we have like made our minds up. We've started reaching out. We've started talking to all the kingdoms. We had an idea on who we want to ally with. We want to make this KVK also something kind of special and unique. So like we will probably not talk about this here on stream, but probably on our Discord. So like that's something I won't post or like communicate here. And like the last thing you're gonna do, I will also share this link. I'm not sure if I can actually show that here. Let me see. Oh no, that won't work. Like another thing I will like give the template also available later for you is like you want to set up any medium to like communicate with your allies. And like I personally, I'm a big friend of Discord. Like it's pretty good to communicate. It's very clear and transparent. Everyone kind of uses it in Rock. It's like a pretty common thing. Most people have access to it anyway. So that's where Discord comes in. Like you want to set up a Discord to be a place to talk about certain things, to have like your agreements written down and whatever. Like I will give you guys a small template we usually use for KVK. So I will also link that down on the description on this video. And if you want to use it, feel free. If you don't want to use it, feel free as well. I personally don't mind. It's just, you know, something I wanted to give you guys. And I will also like post some useful bots for like giving people instructions on what to do for assigning roles and stuff. I don't know if that's interesting content for anyone. If you think you want to like see how that works, you can go to my Discord and put it into the requested content area. I will gladly do some content on the Discord stuff, but I think most people know how to set these things up, so it's kind of boring for the rest. But yeah, that's up to you. So, last but not least, after we've picked up the allies and like we communicated about what we're gonna do, how we're gonna do things, I can only recommend you, if you have some sort of open communication with them, also talk about like rewards and stuff. Even though some people think it looks greedy, it's always better to talk about things beforehand, how you want to handle stuff, and like don't set wrong expectations for anyone. Make sure you're always fair on that. Like no one wants to be ally with someone who's being a dick about it. Don't ask for too much. Make sure like it's a beneficial agreement for both sides. That's something I could always tell people as well. And of course stick to it. So if you make any agreement, even though you don't like it afterwards anymore, it's not worth to, you know, like fight about it for anything with your allies, since that's actually giving you some sort of bad reputation, and like reputation and being known within the community is something people can rely on. So with that being said, let me switch back to the sheets. Is that here? Yep, it is. So, are you guys interested in who we're gonna ally with and who we are against up? we are stabbing. Like, we are rallying. Should we start with the allies or with the enemies first? I think we should start with the enemies first, right? One of the enemy camps. So one of the enemy camps is water. What was like relevant for us when we picked our allies? It's pretty simple. We didn't want it to be like any sort of diagonal allies, because there is always a risk of two camps going for one side. One side has a lot of fights and gets caged or anything, and the other side is just sitting there and, you know, can't do anything until the later zones. So for us that was no option, and for our allies that was also no option. So we were pretty fast coming to the conclusion, like, we have to do any other sort of allies. And our other intention was to find some sort of proper matchup where we actually get to fight. Like, we don't want it to be a windy walk. We don't want another easy KVK like our last one. So we ensured that we have like a way to like get some sort of guaranteed fights. And yeah, by doing that, we selected our next enemies, kinda. And we went with this one. So we allied fire. And we fight against wind and water. So that means that will be the matchup. Don't take the like deaths for sure here. There is no public data on Two of the Kingdoms. So that's what we're gonna do. That's actually not the easiest matchup possible, Mark. You will like understand later on why. But as I said, that's something we don't want to make public yet. But you can be sure that like this KVK won't be easy. There will be handicaps. And like there will be no way to actually dodge any sort of fights or like to have an easy KVK. You will have like guaranteed fights from the very beginning until the very end. So yeah, with that being said, some of you already are in here. I don't know if you guys already know about it. Mark. So we ally with our friends from 2359 again. Yeah, we know the map, chap. We are like the two top camps. Let me open it. Browser. Opponent found. So we are in the top right. Our allies are in the top left. And we are going down for like bottom right and bottom left. Oh, don't worry. We don't have to, you know, like civil war. We got some ideas. We got that for you guys. You can like rest assured that like you will have more than enough to do. More than you expect right now. So yeah, that's basically it about my current first KVK coverage. I will try to drop some content later on. As I said, if you want to see something very specific from our KVK, feel free to reach out, like feel free to do a content request. I think I received my first content request today. Let me check, which is content request. Please make content all about the new feature of formation, inscription and armaments, which I will like 100% do as soon as these features hit our server. We will start using them. We are, yeah, how you want to call it, let me see. The thing is, like, it changed a lot due to like a lot of kingdoms getting added. Like, you see the current B rank, like we've been B rank before this KVK. B rank starts at like 431. And we are kind of in the middle of the A kingdoms, I would say, but that's because we got like a big migration in, as well as we got fat due to our last two KVKs. So what we want to do is, like, we will definitely drop power. Like, we will go for like a really high power drop. And no, wind isn't a joke. Wind is actually pretty strong. People underestimate them. Same goes for water. I think it's like a pretty equal matchup, Mark, regardless of the handicaps we will get. So I hope everyone is as excited as me for this one. And like, I'm really looking forward for it. Like, pre-KVK is sitting soon. We will have Marauders in 2 days. We will have the troop thingy crossing the Mightiest Governor stage the last day, I think. And we will enter KVK next week. Oh no, I don't. Like, I'm realistic, Mark. Really realistic. You know, there is like, you always rather want to be safe than sorry. It's kind of a saying, I guess. And like, you don't want to be the one who's like running in front of everyone and says like, we're gonna smack them, and then you get smacked. Like, these kingdoms know what they are doing. They are not afraid. Like, they are no lightweights. Just look at them. For example, 1921. And that's like real stats. That's not, you know, like, yeah, accounts in voids. That's the fighting power. They got 300 billion kill points. Like, that's a lot. That's really a lot. It's slightly less than we got. So, like, if you underestimate your enemies, that's like the first step into losing. And regardless of if you think you win or not. I used to be in 1921. They are very good. See? Oh, Germany World Cup. I can tell you I haven't watched a single minute of any World Cup match this time. Like, I'm not a fan of how this event was hosted. Like, I personally don't like the political drama that's made about it. And I don't want to support what's going on there. And, like, I don't get the Winter World Cup vibe. So, like, I personally like that we got knocked off. Like, I don't know if I want to cover political things on my channel. But, like, in my personal opinion, I think I need to be careful how I word that. I think the German football team should actually decide if they go there to play football or if they go there to make politics. And like, if they disagree with what's going on there, then they should be consequent and they shouldn't go there. And if they are already going there, then they should focus on their job and, you know, play football and don't try to do any politics. That's not their job. They don't get paid for it, and they should rather focus on what they are getting paid for it. That's like my personal take. And you've seen like the results of, you know, focusing on politics over football during the World Cup. Absolutely deserved. Absolutely deserved. That's like my take on it. Like, as I said, if you are a fan and you like it, like, there's nothing wrong. I don't judge anyone for it. I personally disagree with a lot of things on like how this event is hosted, so I don't want to like support it. Besides the fact that I think like Winter and World Championship is not getting along. Like, for me it's always related to barbecue and beer, but it's probably like a typical German thing. But yeah, that's like, for me that's like something that I relate with football and the World Championship. So that's it, I guess. Does that make sense? I think so. So football Santas in the store the other day. Yeah, but like, who wants that? Let's be honest, like, who really wants that? I'm watching Morocco versus Spain. Yeah, you can. Like, I won't block you from that. I don't. I focus on something else in my time. I do something better with my time, I would say. But yeah, that's basically everything I wanted to say and I wanted to sum up. I will like drop all the links that I've posted or like shared in here in my Discord. So make sure, if you haven't joined it yet, check the description. It should be in there. Join it to grab the links and, you know, use them if you want. Don't use them if you don't want. That's up to you. But yeah, that's basically what I wanted to say. With that being said, thanks everyone for watching. I really enjoyed to be back and I hope I can, you know, like cast more frequently now. It's kind of sad I got like knocked off right at the start of like a different game. Like, I wanted to play some other games on stream as well, just to like pass some time, chill a bit with you guys and have a good time. But yeah, with that being said, see you on the next time. Bye.